Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. We're going to be live on the radio in just seconds, and we're going to talk about everything that happened on Friday up until the last moments before I went on the air here. And I'm going to tell you why Europe is trying to start the Third World War. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take some calls. But first, stand by. Here we go. 8 seconds. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name's Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. It is Monday already, the 3rd of March, 2025. We've got a lot to cover on the program today. Of course, the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States made America proud on Friday when they exposed Zelensky. We're going to talk about all of that and the aftermath of it and take your calls. And a lot has happened over the weekend, and some things are happening right now as we speak, all of which we're going to talk about on the program today. If you're on hold, stand by. I got to set the stage a little bit, and then we'll start taking some calls. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Now, before I get into what happened on Friday, on Saturday, there were multiple security threats against the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the Vice President. The Vice President and his family were at a ski resort in Vermont, and these pro-Ukrainian protesters were such, they just turned up in mass. I don't know how they even knew he was there. And the United States Secret Service had to take the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and his family and take them to an undisclosed location for their safety from these pro-war Ukrainians. And then on Saturday, things were very, if you live in northern Broward or Palm Beach, you may have seen this. This is nuts what's happened. Saturday, and this happened 3 times, around 11, around 12, and then finally for a third time around 1 in the afternoon. The weather was beautiful all weekend long, and on Saturday, the weather was so beautiful, we had our back doors open, and around 11-ish, we could hear jets flying very low over our house, and they were fast, boom, gone. And that's unusual. Planes don't fly over my house all that often. They certainly not that low, and you could tell that they were low and fast, and jets, even, and it was nuts. And my wife's like, what is going on out here? And my first thought was, well, Trump's in town, because I had just seen that he had gone to the golf course, his golf course, where they tried to shoot him. And I thought, well, maybe they've just changed the flight patterns from some of the airports. And I thought maybe some of the jets, the private jets flying into the Boca Raton Executive Airport, were being sent on a little different path. That's what happened. Then around noon, it happened again. And when it happened this time, I was really caught off guard. I ran out of my backyard. I couldn't believe what I saw. I saw fighter jets. And I went out of my front yard and I saw fighter jets. Same thing happened around 1 p.m. And when I went outside, these fighter jets, they were, I later learned they were F-16s, at least according to press accounts. They were flying low and they were flying fast. And they were not flying supersonic speeds when they were over my house. I'm not sure where they flew out of. Did they fly out of Homestead? I'm not sure. And those of you here, again, in South Florida, a lot of you saw what I saw. These planes, these fighter jets, were not only flying low and fast, they were, when I went out there, they were flying in kind of a weird pattern. I saw one, it was completely banked on its side, doing this wide circle in the area, and it was around my house, but it was a wide circle, so it was many miles in both ways, and then it flew out of sight towards Mar-a-Lago. And another one I saw, it looked like it was heading over the direction of the Trump National Golf Course where they tried to shoot him over the summer. And this happened 3 times on Saturday. And my first thought was maybe the Iranians. I knew it had something to do with President Trump because there's fighter jets. I thought maybe the Iranians are up to something. This is really scary. This is nuts. And then I saw some details in press accounts later in the day on Saturday. They said on 3 instances, private aircraft flew into restricted airspace, and that's what scrambled the fighters. And then yesterday morning, Sunday morning, I wake up and find out this story that these pro-Ukrainian war protesters went after J.D. Vance at the Vermont ski resort or wherever he was skiing, and that the Secret Service had to take the vice president and his family to an undisclosed location for their safety. And I'm wondering how they even knew he was there. So here we are on Monday. I have not seen any details about the planes that flew over Mar-a-Lago. Now, this happened, I remember, once in President Trump's first term, and that time it was one time and it was one plane. And that time they scrambled fighters from Homestead Air Force Base, and they flew over my house, and not just mine, everybody. I mean, they flew supersonic, which they don't do because supersonic can break windows in cars and houses. And I know Brian over at Wings Plus had the same experience I had at my house in Boca. They flew over my house. I was in my living room, and they flew over. I didn't see it because I was in my house, but it was so loud since they were going supersonic. A bunch of things fell down. A bunch of boxes fell down in my garage. You heard this huge crash. And then a little later in the day, we found out that plane had strayed over restricted airspace, and they scrambled some fighter jets out of Homestead who were flying supersonic to get there. Now, these planes that were on Saturday, it happened on 3 different occasions. A little after 11, a little after 12, and a little after 1, 1-hour intervals. And we don't have any details on it. So here's my question to, other than they said, the news account said Saturday afternoon that it were 3 civilian aircraft strayed into restricted airspace. Really, 3 times? About an hour apart? And then this thing with the vice president. So here's my question to you about that. Is it a coincidence that the president had these incidents on Saturday, as did the vice president the day after this event with Zelensky at the White House? And I want you to know this, and you may have forgotten, but the golf course Trump assassin that's sitting in a jail cell right now awaiting trial, he was connected to Ukraine, if you remember. He was in Ukraine, and he was involved in the recruitment of American veterans to hire them as mercenaries to fight for Ukraine. So we got a Ukraine connection with that guy that's not talked about all that much, but you remember that, right? So is it just a coincidence that the president had this incident? 3 planes about an hour apart. That sounds like a schedule to me. And then the vice president in the same day? Seems a little too much of a coincidence, especially since it happened on 3 incidents an hour apart with the president on Saturday. And when do vice presidents have issues like that? It is so rare for a vice president to have an incident like that. Do you think it is a coincidence that these things happen to the president and vice president on Saturday? Or do you think there's possible that it's not a coincidence that it happened the day after Zelensky was exposed at the White House by the president and the vice president? And the vice president really exposed him, didn't he? And then a vice president has a threat incident, which is very unusual. And I'm here to tell you, I don't believe in coincidences, because we have the Ukrainian connection to the second Trump assassin. So if you're on hold, stand by. I would like your thoughts on this. We got a lot to cover on the program today, not just that, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Is it a coincidence or not, in your opinion? And if you have any more details on these aircraft, because there really is not that I've seen, and I've been looking for it. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. My name's Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We'll be right back. We are clear. I'd like to hear you guys give me a call. Let me know what you think, because something's up with that. I'm sorry. 3 times with the president on Saturday, and then the vice president too. I don't believe that it's a coincidence. Too much. After that event at the White House on Friday, I'm going to add another thing too to think about. No, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think it is. I'm sorry. Something is up. Something's up. I mean, the Ukrainians are corrupt people. The country's corrupt. Yeah, if you'd like to call in, the number's pinned in the live chat. And it's toll-free no matter where you are watching. I'm going to go right to the phones when we get back, before I bring up anything else. But we've got the Ukrainian connection with the golf course assassin. Okay. All right, 1 minute, and we'll be back live on the radio. So if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to go right to the phones when we get back. Oh, I thought it was amazing. President Trump and J.D. Vance were amazing. Well, call me out, Peter. Call me on the air. Call me out. 25 seconds. Well, who cares what the King of England said? The great MAGA king told him what's up. All right, 10 seconds. Stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I'm going to go right to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Me?
It sounds like you.
All right, hi. My name is Roy from Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee. Keep an eye out, Mike. Yeah. You called me. What's on your mind?
So I was wondering, what was the talking point? You were talking about, jets a moment ago.
Talking point.
Were we talking about Zelensky?
I don't know anything.
About the weather?
I don't know. I don't know anything about talking points because I don't use them. Do you have anything to contribute, or I'll move on? I mean, I don't have time to talk to loser gamers who live with mom and dad.
I mean, I pay my own bills, but
Oh,
I'm just
good for
asking
you.
a question.
Good
were
for
we
you,
talking
big
about
boy.
the weather just now, or were we Or are you talking about Zelensky? I just want to know. You know, it's early in the morning.
Well,
I'm
I would
just trying to
suggest
talk.
you listen a little bit longer, and maybe you'll wake up and figure it out, Milwaukee. All right, take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Pete from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Pete, what's on your mind?
Well, you know, I was listening to you maybe Saturday when you were talking about this plane being over. Yeah, I just wondered when they intercepted these planes, did they make them land and then question them?
We don't know. We do not know. There's been next to no details. The one account said that at least one of the fighter jets launched some type of not flares. Yeah, that they launched flares to get the attention of the private aircraft. And this happened 3 times on Saturday, about an hour apart. The official times that I read in the newspaper were 11:10, 12:10, and 1:10. Those times seem about right. I was just home doing stuff when I heard the jets flying around and went out and saw them.
Well, I heard the jets too down here because I live almost in Pompano, but I guess when they were making their turn or something, I could hear them, you know?
Well, when they were doing these, I saw them doing these wide bank turns that were, and at that speed, they could have gone as far south as Pompano when they were doing these wide banking turns. It was very strange. Very strange. You know, listen, this happens on occasion, but 3 times an hour apart on the same day, and then in the afternoon, there's a threat on the vice president. I'm sorry, there's something more at play.
Yeah. Well, I've been reading all kinds of things. They kicked a bunch in Minnesota. They kicked a bunch of people out of a pizza place up there and all.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get sidetracked, but I do appreciate the call. Yeah, see what I mean? He was in Pompano and heard them. So, and I've been hearing from listeners have been sending me DMs over the weekend in different parts here in Palm Beach and Northern Broward who saw and heard the jets too. My mother-in-law was at the pool at her condo, and they flew right over when they were at the pool, and it freaked everybody out. It's not a coincidence. I'm sorry to tell you. You know, we have the Ukrainian connection with the golf course assassin. All right? You're on the air.
Hey, Brian, it's Sherry from Texas. How you doing?
Hey, Sherry, what's on your mind?
Hey, I have to say, I couldn't just sit here and listen. There is absolutely no coincidence on this incident. The meeting in that White House with Zelensky, the way that it ended, and then you've got, you know, the way that Zelensky and J.D. Vance were engaging and Trump had to jump in. Again, the way that Zelensky left, then you've got J.D. Vance's family at the ski resort.
Yeah.
Had to be taken into a disclosed area for safety. And then you've got these jets in hour increments that are flying overhead. There's absolutely no coincidence on that. And obviously it's something of some significance, or else it would be spoken of. Do you know where I'm going? On Saturday,
I was going to go up to Mar-a-Lago because of I was going to make a YouTube video up there and ride my my MAGA scooter 2.0, my Vespa up there. And when I saw the fighter jets, I knew all the roads would be closed, so I didn't go. And I didn't want to go up there and with all the security and show that on YouTube. No, I don't believe in any coincidences, and I'm here to tell you that after what happened on Friday, then this Saturday, we know that the golf course shooter was doing work for you. He was in Ukraine, the golf course assassin, and was recruiting mercenaries to go fight for Ukraine. So I'm starting to wonder if Ukraine was behind Butler.
Absolutely. You know what? I have to agree with you 100% on that. How else would this occur?
Yeah.
So quickly within, a 24-hour period?
Too much.
I mean, the math isn't easy on this, or isn't hard on this.
You know, it was a little frightening for me when I saw the fighters, because I was watching online. I saw the president just go into the golf course, and then these fighters come over, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Because at the golf course is where one of the assassination attempts happened, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is awful.
Yeah, well, it's just it's a matter of, if you take a look at the time that the meeting took place at the White House to the time of J.D. Vance and his family going into hiding, and then the time from that period to the jets going across.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with the golf course assassin, okay? Not only was he in Ukraine, working for Ukraine to recruit mercenaries, okay? He had, when he was set up at the golf course to try to assassinate the president, he had an AK-47, which is the weapon that they were handing out to the civilians in Ukraine, if you remember. Remember at the high schools, they were handing out AK-47s. Yeah. And we don't know, we have not learned anything about this guy, who he was staying with, who he was with, how long he was in South Florida, who owned that car. Remember, he was like from Hawaii, that car they got him in, that SUV. And I'm wondering, was he staying? Was he staying with Ukrainian people or some type of Ukrainian contacts? There's a lot. Listen, everyone says, even their supporters say it's the most corrupt country in Europe. They're gangsters.
I agree. And how many Ukrainians do we have here?
I don't know. Yeah,
that's another question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian, for taking my call. But you're on cue. You're definitely on cue this morning.
All right, I appreciate it, because sometimes these things happen, and you think, am I crazy? So that sometimes I ask you guys, am I nuts? And obviously, I'm not on this one. I don't think. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? This is Dennis. I was just gonna let everybody know, man. Just let's press the rewind button on this. The Ukrainians have been doing some covert stuff since January, December. You know why? Because they know the funding is gonna stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. They know the funding is gonna stop. The Sleepy Joe funnel is gonna stop. He's going to put a stop. Trump is going to put a stop.
Well, Trump already did. Over the weekend, they announced that they cut off the no more Ukraine funding. It's being cut off, the president said over the weekend. Now,
so with that,
I don't know when
with that being said,
go ahead.
Do you think this is a coincidence? Do you think this is a coincidence that starts on Friday and before Sunday, all hell is about to break loose?
No, it's not. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. It's crazy. It's crazy. And let me tell you, the security around the president at Mar-a-Lago is so many more times than it was in the first term. I don't like to talk about it, and I'm not going to. But people that live in the area, you know what I'm talking about. It's the security is intense, especially when he's moving. And this happened, and the jets came over while he. After he went to the golf course, or around the time he was at the golf course, which is where they tried, they tried to get him that time. So this is not a coincidence, and I don't think.
And I just want to say, it's sad to say when we have a president whose personal security is stronger than the government security. And I'm not knocking anybody. I know everybody works hard or whatnot, but just let's look at what's going on right now.
Yeah.
His personal security is actually stronger than our government security. So how should that make us feel right now?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Hey, I appreciate the call. Take care, man. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad that you guys are great. If you're on hold, hang in there. After the bottom of the hour break, we'll take some more of your calls at 1-888-465-2631. Do you have a MyPillow yet? It's spring cleaning time. It's spring cleaning. My wife, we do this every year. We buy some new things, new sheets, new pillows. We change things out, buy things for people. And this is a great time to do it because the free shipping on all orders is still in effect at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout. Incredible deals. You can get the MyPillow for as low as $14.98. It's an incredible deal, and there's just incredible specials site-wide with our promo code Kane. You can save as much as 80% off some of the most popular MyPillow products. All the MyPillows are on sale, the MyPillow sheets at incredibly low prices. So it's spring cleaning time. It's time to go to MyPillow and take advantage of the free shipping offer. That's with our promo code Kane at checkout. It's free shipping plus you get that great discount. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879, 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back right after this. All right, stand by. Yeah, great way to support the program is to go to mypillow.com and use our promo code Kane and load up. I'll go back to the phones when we get back. Yep, promo code Kane, Kane. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. No, I don't believe in coincidences either, guys. And I'm glad that people are agreeing with me on this, because sometimes you start to think you're going nuts. Okay, we are coming back at... Okay. Mike texts me what time we're coming out of the break. Welcome, one and all. If you are new to the program, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We're in a commercial break on our radio stations now. We're live on 8 FM radio stations, and this is our bottom of the hour break, traffic, weather, and commercials. Live on 8 FM radio station. I always check the audio and the phone. If you're on hold, stand by. Phone's very busy. Okay. We'll be back in 1 minute. 1 minute. Oh, yeah, we'll get to the UK and Europe in a few minutes. Less than a minute, we'll be back live on the radio. "30 seconds. Stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's Monday, March 3rd, 2025. I'm not going to recap. I'll recap later. I'm just going to go straight to the phones. I brought up some of the weekend events. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Roy from Milwaukee again. I'm
gonna have to, listen. You call again, you're gonna get banned. I don't like to ban people, but it's gonna happen. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Michael, what's up?
You know, let's go through the whole scenario, okay? Zelensky flies into Washington, of course, to meet with the president, right?
Yeah.
But before he meets with the president, he goes over to Congress and meets with the pro-Ukraine / military-industrial complex folks that are in Congress right now, right?
Yep.
And they gave him whatever advice they gave him was bad advice.
Yeah, right? I would say yes. I would agree with that.
And and we know how that ended up, and we know that he got kicked out the White House. So and all this stuff we're talking about here with the airplanes and stuff like this. If you ever watch Steve Bannon's show, he has a sign behind him that says there are no conspiracies and there are no coincidences.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are no.
Well, I don't agree with the conspiracy thing. Conspiracy, if people conspire, and they've been conspiring against Trump for 10 years. So, but I understand the point he's trying to make. And if there had been one incident with a plane on Saturday, that can happen. But 3 times, about an hour apart on the same day, that's too much.
And who paid these guys to be in Vermont to go and protest the vice president? Who paid them?
Yeah, there's something that I've never seen happen in America before that happened over the weekend, and I'm going to throw this out. If any of you guys have seen this before, I welcome it. We have these Democrats, they're protesting in the streets in favor of war. They're protesting in favor of war. President Trump had a perfect plan to end the war. I'll talk about it later in the show, but they're protesting for war. When have you seen people take to the streets and protest for a war in American modern history? We've had anti-war protesters, but pro-war protesters?
What was her name? Wendy Davis, that showed up down there in Crawford with
No, that's Cindy. That's Cindy Sheehan, and she was anti-war. That was anti-war. I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was.
I'm talking about protest for war. These are for war protests.
I mean, Trump is the anti-war president. I mean, you look at you're right. You go back to not the Civil War, but the Vietnam War, and with all the protesting and the flower children and all that stuff.
They were protesting against a war, not for a war.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, you can basically all these guys in Congress that are showing up with the flag lapel pins with the Ukraine flag lapel pins. That's a protest for war.
That's right.
That is a protest for war.
That's right. All right, Mike. Good call today. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Brian. Danielle calling you from Michigan.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey, good morning. Listen, I just have a couple quick comments for you. Maybe you can help with clarification. I wasn't aware of any threat with the vice president.
He was skiing in Vermont with his family, and these pro-Ukrainian war protesters showed up, and the Secret Service took JD and his family to an undisclosed location for their safety. There were so many they couldn't protect them, so they moved them. Yeah, which is unheard of with vice presidents. Vice presidents don't face things like that very often, and that's the day after the White House confrontation.
Sure. I just thought it was I thought I read that they did end up skiing on the other side of the mountain. I thought it was just a bunch of. I mean, eventually,
when they took care of it, sure. Trump didn't.
Gotcha.
Trump went back to golfing. Yeah. but these things still happen.
Yeah, and this is crazy. But this is my other question to you. I understand about the three airplanes that flew over. Let me ask you this. Do they know who the planes are and who the pilots are?
I'm sure when you say they, I would imagine that the government knows, but they haven't released it to the public.
Okay, that's what I'm just wondering that. I was just kind of wondering if I missed something.
No.
I'm getting a late start tonight.
No, in fact, when it happened on Saturday, I didn't know exactly what had happened. I knew there was a security problem because there's F-16s flying over my house very low at high rates of speed. And I didn't, usually when there's news happening, you'll see me pop up on YouTube or something. I did not.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the details. I didn't want to be alarmist, and I didn't think it was smart to go public that there's something going on until we knew what happened. Then later in the day, the press reported it. That's when I went and shared with everyone. For it to happen, we don't know if it's 3 planes, 1 plane, 2 planes, or 10 planes, but there were 3 incidents an hour apart in restricted airspace near the president on Saturday. That's too much in one day.
That's odd.
It's very odd.
I want to know who. Yeah, I want to know who. I want them to release like who this person was, or who's the pilots, or what's going on. I mean, that's kind of.
Or at least give us some details. And here we are. We're 2 days later, and there's no details. The only update I saw today is that the Secret Service is investigating. Okay, that's nothing. I don't even know. That's just filler in the news. I don't even know if the news confirmed that. I mean, that's obvious. No, I can understand, say, a pilot doesn't know and they stray in the area, but it happening 3 times in one day, about an hour apart, sounds like almost like a test of the security defenses, to me.
Yeah, it's very peculiar. Stay on top of it because I listen to you and I'll get my information when I know that you give good reporting and the truth. So it's all very peculiar. Very peculiar, very odd.
When you add in the Ukrainian connection that we know is a fact to the second Trump assassin at the golf course, okay? And Trump was at the golf course when the jets were flying around on Saturday. So that's so there's all right. I appreciate the call. I'm sorry, guys. I was debating whether or not I should talk about this today, but I think it has to be talked about. I know no one else probably is, at least not like this. And to hear you guys on the phones, I'm glad that I'm not going nuts, that you guys, at least in some respect, the ones I'm talking to on the phones agree with me. Now, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631 if you have any opinions on this and if you have any more information on the planes. Now, President Trump had a perfect peace plan. And it was very, very simple. And Zelensky, we now know Zelensky, I believe it's 3 times now, has refused to sign this mineral deal. Now he says he wants to sign it again. Oh, my goodness. Twice he wouldn't sign it, and then he insisted on coming to the White House to do it, and then they got him worked up. Now, who got him worked up? We don't really know for sure. I know there are a lot of people speculating it was Susan Rice and this one and that one. I think his behavior at the White House, Zelensky, is really a carbon copy of that confrontation the president had in his first term with Pelosi and Schumer. And my guess would be that Pelosi's wrinkled up old hands are connected to Zelensky's behavior. All right, let's take some more calls. Later, I'll go into the Trump peace plan, which is perfect. Oh, sorry about that. I hit the wrong line. All right, you're on the air. Let me go. There you go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
John from Martin County.
Hey, John, what's up? From MAGA, Martin County.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff about the Europe prime minister made a speech or something saying they're going to support
the UK,
Ukraine or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah, and then they said, oh yeah, but it's based on America's backing. That was the last statement.
No, that's not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
I know that, but I mean,
you know what I found? You know what I found out about this weirdo prime minister they have in the UK, and this is really disturbing to me because I didn't know too much. They switch prime ministers pretty quick over there lately.
Yeah,
he's an atheist. He's a devout atheist, a very vocal atheist. And let me tell you, that's dangerous, because atheists, all they care about is their personal pleasure while on earth, because there's nothing after. He thinks that when you're dead, that's it. So if all he cares is about earthly things and there's no afterlife, how can you let a guy like this take you a step towards war? Because he's not going. All he's going to do is profit through either prestige, power, or money. When you got a guy that's an atheist running a major country, pushing us towards World War III, that's a dangerous man. And those of you in the UK, I mean, I would be sick if we had a president that was an atheist. I would be physically ill over it.
Yeah, I've seen some other stuff, or heard some other stuff that was kind of conflicting, where all the other countries over there are going to support Ukraine and all that, but they don't give any money. It's all based on their backing was all based on the United States. If you show
that's right. That's what they said over the weekend. That's right. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call from MAGA, Martin County. We're going to take our last break of the first hour. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is toll free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, stand by. We'll be back in just over 1 minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. And we got more to cover. Quite a bit more to cover. We've only just begun. Thirty seconds. This is our last commercial break of the hour. Yep, that's right. I love the Carpenters. Carpenters are awesome. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I want to talk about our retirement advisor, our retirement expert, Jupiter Joe Thomas. You know, he came in last week, and Joe Thomas told us something really amazing, that you call him up, you get into annuities, and you get a bonus right out the gate, that you actually get a 10% bonus on your money on day one with your annuity. Pretty good deal, huh? You know, annuities, I don't know why everyone's not doing this. You get a 10% bonus, and by the way, you can get a bonus every year too. He'll tell you about that. Your money's not at risk, no matter what happens with the stock market, up, down, sideways, crashes. You know, your money is safe, and you have a revenue stream coming in your retirement. Guaranteed income in your retirement for the rest of your life. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me, doesn't it? That's right. Joe Thomas, he's offering free phone consultations to our listeners, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located in the United States. And when you have your free phone consultation, he'll talk to you, ask you some questions, and he'll put together a custom proposal for you based on your situation, your wants, your needs. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed that number, just go to his website, JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com, and you'll find his number right there, JupiterJoe.com. Okay, so President Trump, let's get back into what's going on here. President Trump and the vice president had good reason to be angry. President Trump came up with the perfect peace plan for the Russian-Ukraine war, the Ukraine-Russia war, whatever you want to call it. And this is what it was. Pretty simple. And so simple, they hate it. The mineral contract. President Trump wants the mineral deal for two reasons. One, which of course is to allow the United States to recoup some of the billions of dollars that we gave Ukraine. But beyond that, and maybe even more importantly to President Trump, is what that would do. These mines are in eastern Ukraine. That's the side Russia borders them on. And what would happen is American workers would move into that region. And over time, there'd be more American workers who would move there with their families and bring their children. And that entire area on the side of Ukraine towards Russia will be filled with American workers, families, and children living their lives, going to school, and everything else. That would stop Putin from coming into Ukraine because he wouldn't want to kill Americans. Not only that, and this is one of the reasons they hate it, but not just because it ends the war, because these evildoers don't want the war to end. If a peace treaty were signed without this situation set up in that part of Ukraine, we're going to have nonstop skirmishes between Russia and Ukraine forever, much like the Israelis and the Palestinian terrorists, okay? It'll never end. And sometimes they'll get out of control and there'll be skirmishes that last weeks or months and things happen. But with Americans there, it will not. So, that's an awesome thing. Also, the American workers there with their families and kids going to school and everything is, in effect, setting up, like, it's a very similar thing that we have with the DMZ at the 38th parallel in Korea. But that's a military fortification. Instead of a military fortification, we have a civilian fortification that would stop Russia from ever doing anything. It's brilliant. We get our money back, and we stop skirmishes in the war forever in Ukraine. And none of them want that. Now, Europe over the weekend are sucking up to Zelensky. Doesn't Zelensky remind you of Greta Thunberg? He does. I think he does. They got the same personality. They're both spoiled children and insane who buy their own press. So Europe, the UK, they're talking about, I know, it's a brilliant peace plan the president has. The UK is talking about putting boots on the ground in Ukraine. So why is the European allies of ours in NATO trying to get this war going? Well, because it's been very profitable for them in the past and since the end of the Second World War when we had the Cold War with the Soviet Union. They make a lot of money off of it. These European countries have very small militaries. Remember, I was talking a couple weeks ago, I was shocked to learn this, that the British Navy has more admirals than they do warships. They have 2 admirals per warship in their Navy. Weak little Navy. It's for boat parades. Their armies are the same thing over there. Very tiny armies in most of the NATO countries. They do not have fighting forces. They've been on our coattails all these years. And as the decades have gone on, since we do everything and pay for everything, they've been spending less and less on their militaries, and they've been shrinking. They think that if they get things heated up over there, that Trump's going to be forced to go into this war. Now, I'm here to tell you, President Trump may very well just shock us. This may happen without any notice and tell us that he has come to a peace agreement with Putin in Ukraine. And it's going to be a good one. Because Putin really wants to end this now because he knows he can embarrass all the Zelensky and the European leaders. So if Trump comes out with a peace deal for Ukraine to end this war in a fair way, what are they going to say to that? All right, let's go back to the phones. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Chris from Pompano Beach.
Hey, Chris, what's up?
Yeah, as far as President Trump and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, I think they hit it right on the head. The guy, obviously, no surprise there, he does not want the peace. And anything that has to, have him step down, of course. He wants to stay the dictator over there. And
absolutely.
And that's sad because he doesn't mind pawning, the citizens over there that are getting disrupted, either with their lives or their livelihoods. And, that other thing as far as regarding the airspace, yeah, I mean, again, no coincidence, but they just don't like the fact that, like President Trump said, they don't have any cards in it. And now I'm glad the one listener did mention that the meeting Zelensky had prior to President Trump, because that shows that they're still knee deep with those other representatives. I don't know if they're U.S. reps or congressmen or senators. I think they said they had a meeting with the senators. But yeah, that's just them all with their hands in the cookie jar, and it's sad that that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean they're in a panic that the war's going to end because they're all making money off of it. I mean, for the life of me, I mentioned this about 30 minutes ago. I have never seen pro-war protest in the streets of America. Pro-war. I've seen anti-war, but pro-war?
Ridiculous, and I'd like to know who these people are. So
yeah, and where are they getting all these Ukrainian flags? Who's giving them to them? Since we shut down USAID, I guess they got some other sources for their fake protest. These are not real organic protests. These are organized by, who knows, the military-industrial complex, maybe Ukraine. Who knows?
Exactly, and it makes no sense. Like you said, who advocates for war other than those who benefit one way or another?
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous that wow.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Good to talk to you. I appreciate the call. Yeah. I mean, this is where we are now. We have people in the streets protesting for a war. Now, that's one thing if the United States has been attacked. But even then, there's ways around it, which have been talked about in the past. This is new. And, Marco Rubio said over the weekend, I think it was to Stephanopoulos? He said they only oppose this because it's Trump. If this were a Democrat, they'd be wanting to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, the Trump derangement syndrome is deep in the bones of these people. And it gets worse and worse and worse. Now, we'll continue to take your calls and talk about this as the show goes on, but there have been other things that have happened as well. We do have quite a bit to cover on the program today, but I'll tell you, the way that the president and vice president carried themselves over the weekend on Friday, I thought was beautiful, and I know I'm not alone when I say that I would be incredibly comfortable with J.D. Vance being our second MAGA president. I think he made me proud. Did J.D. make you proud on Friday? Standing up to that spoiled punk. My favorite question in the whole thing is when Brian Glenn, who used to be with Right Side, I keep forgetting who he's with now, but he was in that Oval Office meeting and he asked Zelensky, why don't you wear a suit? I might pull that up and play that audio later. Why aren't you wearing a suit? And Zelensky lost it to Brian Glenn. I mean, he's not used to that. He's had his rear end kissed and he's been propped up so much, and he's really just a fool. I mean, he's an actor. He's not a world leader. And he's representing a country that when President Trump says you don't have the cards, they're losing this war. The president said, oh, it may have been the vice president, one of them said in the Oval Office they've lost 25% of their people. 25%. And I did some math. That would be like if we lost in the United States, if we were in a war and lost about 85 million. They've lost 25% of their people. Their average age of their soldiers is in the 40s, which means a lot of them are in their 50s and 60s. And there have been credible reports over the weekend that I've seen where they're drafting people with Down syndrome into their army. Desperate. They're on the verge of defeat. And Zelensky, he just doesn't care. Now, I want to remind you guys, the free shipping offer at mypillow.com continues with our promo code Kane. And that free shipping offer with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, is site-wide with no minimum order size. So no matter how small the order is, it's free shipping with our promo code Kane at checkout, plus the huge savings that you're getting, which is up to 80% on some of the most popular MyPillow products. The towels, the sheets, the pillows, the slippers, the pet beds, even the MyPillow Cross. But they're all on sale, and all the MyPillows are at the lowest prices ever, plus free shipping. You'll never see a deal this good at MyPillow ever again. So go to mypillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. You can also order by phone toll-free, 1-800-716-4879, 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane, Kane. All right, 1 hour down, 2 to go. Callers on hold, stand by. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Back after this. All right, stand by. We'll be back in just a few seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Callers on hold, stand by. I'm not going to do any recapping right now of what happened over the weekend. I may do that in a little bit, maybe after the next break, maybe later in this segment. But I want to take these calls first. I was just talking during the break to Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot. We were texting, and our cruise sold out a couple of months ago. However, there is a suite has opened up. So, and with the suite, oh man, there are so many great benefits, I'm here to tell you, to having a suite. So if you're interested in that, there is a suite that's opened up on the ship. Give Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot a call, 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. That's 561-244-5779. And he'll tell you all the details on the suite that has become available on our cruise, which leaves in 27 days, friends. I can't wait. All right, let's go right back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
I always bet on Doug. I got a full board of calls. I took one at random, and it was you.
All right. Well, timing is everything, I guess. Anyway, this Zelensky character comes to America, all the way from Ukraine to America, to be nasty to the president. This is ridiculous. This guy.
Yeah, and we paid for the plane. We paid for the plane and the gas.
Yeah, right, exactly. But that's a long trip to come here to be stupid. You're trying to get money, the backing, and you act like a jerk. I said, this guy, is something wrong with him. I mean, the liberals are saying, it was all set up to make President Trump look so strong and mean. Another ridiculous thing. Yeah, the whole concept that the Democrats want to keep protesting, and everything Trump is doing is bad, and we have to stop help Ukraine.
Do you think it's a coincidence that the day after this incident happened at the White House, President Trump has 3 security instances with fighter jets scrambled, and JD has an incident in Vermont? Do you think that's a coincidence?
Oh no! It's all set up. These people are really
there. You go,
as low as you can go.
Yeah.
I mean, to think that Russia's going to go take over maybe Moscow. Take over Poland or something. They can't even beat Ukraine. They're doing a good job killing all their people, but they're taking forever. So there's no way he's going to do anything else, but they just want to have this war going on. Man, these war people, I don't know how much they're making on this. But man,
obviously it's a lot. It's a lot. Hey, appreciate the call, Doug. Yeah, it's got to be a lot. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I have to tell you this. I don't know if you saw the interview with the I think he's the Commerce Secretary, the bald-headed gentleman with the beard, Trump's. Did you see that with?
I saw him talking over the weekend, but I don't know if I saw what you're referencing. I don't know.
Yeah, when he said that for the first, it was obvious to them. This was a setup, and it was a setup by this little monster from Ukraine. In other words, he was demanding. They had a meeting 45 minutes before the press came into the room and everything. They had a meeting, and this little monster. He wants every inch of land returned to them. He wants Putin to give back every inch. He wants $350 billion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In other words, his demands were so outrageous. They were basically, they didn't even want to talk to him. They said, "Well, you're not here for that. You're here for the signing of the."
There's been 3 times that he's refused to sign that mineral deal. And he refused twice. He refused twice in Europe, and then the 3rd time at the White House. Okay, now he says he wants to sign it. He doesn't. You can't trust this guy. He lied to the president.
Yeah, it's not just that. He got there knowing that, listen, the press is American press is against President Trump, 100%. He knows this. He has his Ukrainian press that are for him. He went there to turn everybody against Trump and put Trump on the spot.
That's right.
And that's why J.D. Vance jumped in and said, you know, what, you know, they weren't there to discuss the war in front of.
They were there to announce the mineral deal. They were there to announce the mineral deal signing. He had no intention of signing it. And these never-Trumpers and warmongers, they got him worked up and said, this is how you handle Trump. And look what happened. And maybe they got, you know, maybe they got what they want. They think there's hope that the war will continue, which is what they want.
Yeah, but they had an interview in English with Putin. Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Putin
says Putin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Refuses if they put any troops. I mean, whether you call them English, French, or whatever, any troops inside there, there's no deal.
You know, when we look back at these other European wars, people always say, "How did this happen?" You're seeing it. The people of Europe are stupid. Yeah. People think they're intelligent because of their accents or something. They're stupid warmongers, okay? I mean, you know, and they're trying to start a third world war for profit. Because what else could it be?
England and France.
That's right. All right, appreciate the call, Richie. Yeah, he's right. Richie's right on the money with that one. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, once, twice. All right, you're out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Mark from New Jersey. How are you?
All right, Mark, what's up?
So we had a weekend off, right? Friday, the ballistics flew, right? The explosives went. Trump dials yesterday. Everyone had a cooling off period today. What do you think is going to happen today, Brian?
They're going to continue to amp things up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, this is the problem with these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers. They don't see Trump realistically. They think that they can manipulate him for some reason. And that's what they're trying to do. I don't believe that. And if you listen, what the Trump people are talking about is regime change in Ukraine, which I think we need at this point.
How do you do a peace deal? Yeah, but how do you? The guy's the president. How do you regime change? He's in the presidency.
His term is over. His term is over. He's officially a dictator now. He suspended elections. You know, Ukraine's not a player in this. They think they are, but they're not. All right, appreciate the call, and you know he's obviously in shock at hearing that. He's a president, but he's got no power. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice, you're on the air. All right, you're out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, you're out. Okay, I tell you, people are chickening out. I get it. But I will tell you this. It is, I just got a text from somebody that suggested something very interesting about Zelensky. Why will he not sign the mineral deal? And I don't know if they want me to say who it is, but so I'm not. But it's somebody that you all are familiar with. They said maybe Zelensky's already signed a mineral deal with someone, and he can't sign another one. I never thought about that. What do you guys? There's a very strong possibility of that one. Mm-hmm. Oh man, you know what I did yesterday morning? You know what I did? I put a new hole in my belt. You know, since I started Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I've added 2 holes to my belt. I wasn't even wearing a belt for quite a while because I didn't need to. My pants were being held up fine without the belt. And once I started Coastal Weight Loss Secret, all of a sudden my pants were falling down. I got the belt out and the belt was too big. So I added a hole, I don't know, the first hole maybe 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. And then on Sunday, I added another hole. I'm becoming an expert of adding holes to belts. It's amazing. Not only have I lost all this weight, I'm not hungry. I feel better than ever. It's really amazing how much more energy I have. And I really notice it late in the afternoon, like around 5, 6 in the afternoon. At 5 or 6 in the afternoon, I've been up for 15 to 16 hours, and I'm still ready to go. And the reason? Coastal weight loss. I'm 24 pounds lighter than I was a month ago. And I might be the 25 already because I did not weigh myself this morning. I'll weigh myself tomorrow morning, and that was my goal. My goal was 25 pounds before March 30th, and it looks like I'm there 27 days earlier. I just love this, and I'm not hungry. And people keep asking me, no, I'm not taking any medication. I'm not on Ozempic, nothing like that. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, and go meet with Dr. Zuckerman. I am in shock. I didn't think it was possible for me to lose the weight, but I've done it. Here's the number. Give them a call, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlosssecret.com. Callers on hold, you stand by. We're going to take our first break of the second hour. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Back after this. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Callers on hold, stand by. We've covered a lot, and there's a lot to really, comment on already before I bring up anything new. I'll take a couple more calls, but there are some other things I want to bring up. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Scott.
All right, Scott, you're up. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm wondering if you've heard anything about something I'm very interested in the Ukrainian war, which is what's happening with all the war wounded, the prisoners of war that are wounded, the prisoners of war, the wounded from Ukraine. When the war really began, they sent out a lot of the women into Europe, and that created a severe nursing shortage. And I've got bits and pieces of.
Well, there's the answer to your question. We don't know. We don't know. They're not telling us much. They don't want us to know how bad the loss of life and the wounded are. They don't want us to know, because that might cause people to want to end the war. Remember, the body bags on the nightly news is what helped, they think, end the war in Vietnam, get us out of there.
Yeah, especially with Walter Cronkite's reporting. Yeah, very good point, because that was something on my mind too. And then there's also the mercenaries. Are there mercenaries there? Are there Foreign Legion? Foreign Legion are not the same thing as mercenaries.
No, they're listen, they're getting anyone they can, anyone. And including it's being reported over the weekend that Ukraine is drafting people with Down syndrome into their army.
Yeah, I've heard that. And then there's the Russians is sending North Koreans, and North Koreans have been surrendering to Ukrainian because it's a way to get out. They don't care about their families back home. They're just surrendering in mass. But then that's just a rumor. You hear a lot of garbage.
Well, here's what's not a rumor. President Trump and J.D. Vance exposed Zelensky to the world on Friday, and then on Saturday, on three different instances, U.S. fighter jets were scrambled over restricted airspace where the president was in Mar-a-Lago, with 3 incidents of planes entering restricted airspace. And also on Saturday, the vice president was under threat, and they had to take him to an undisclosed location for a while on Saturday. So we have 4 security incidents with the president and vice president the day after the Zelensky event. You think it's a coincidence?
And that I don't think that's going to stop. Now, I just wondered if those Ukraine protesters were bought and paid for.
Of course, you think that. Who goes out and protest in favor of war? Hey, appreciate the call. Of course. Of course they are. All right, let's see. I've lost track of who's called in first, second, last, and everything in between, guys. I apologize. So I'm taking the calls the best I can in the order in which they will receive, but I've lost total track of it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. No, it's going to be one of those days, guys. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Eric from Central Illinois.
Hey.
Hey, my question is there an authoritative source where we can look at Zelensky's net worth before he got into office and over the past few years? Because
whatever his net worth is today is no. The answer is no. Whatever his net worth is today is hidden. When you're stealing, you don't, put out a accounting sheet.
No, I know, but I bet you our intel knows, and I bet he's worth a ton of our money.
Of course he is. He's probably a billionaire. People talk about it a lot. You're just listening to the wrong people. They don't talk about it on television. He's probably a billionaire. Like Yasser Arafat. His family, they were billionaires living in Paris while he was in the Palestinian territories. So, yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to bring up, because I really would like to find out.
The world wants to know. I'll tell you, I was watching this is how it works, okay? I was watching over the weekend. This guy was talking about how Hollywood producers make money. Hollywood producers. And they had this quote, and this is amazing how the producers make money. This is why people want to go into producing. There's this quote that the guy gave from Sean Connery. And Sean Connery, he said when he would go to the home of an actor, the walls would be filled with pictures of them. But if he went to a producer's house, the walls were filled with Picassos, okay? Because that's where the real money is. And I was watching a guy who's in the Hollywood producing business, and he was talking about how Hollywood producers make their money, and it's the same way that these warmongers make their money. Here's how it works. What the producers do is they get an approved budget for the movie from the studio, and they get to keep whatever money they don't spend. So if they get a budget for $50 million and the movie only costs $30 million, they get to keep $20 million. Now the movie has to look good and look like it costs $50 million. So what they do, they don't just, okay, $20 million in your bank account, and sometimes it could be more. They have all these fake things they do, like they had to buy clothespins and spend $1 million on clothespins for the movie. Stupid stuff like this. Well, that's what's going on in Ukraine and with these warmongers, okay? Whatever money we send them, whatever the war is budgeted for, they're stealing the money. That's just the reality. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, you surprised me, Brian. ID in Broward. Morning.
Hey.
Wow. Hey, to answer the last guy's question, remember Elon has the satellites. He has the geniuses sitting at the desk that can dissect any big transaction that's ever happened in any given time, so they can kind of narrow it down and see where the money went.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And Elon's actually talked about doing that, auditing the Ukraine money. I don't know. They may not have done such a good job at the laundering since they didn't think Trump was coming back. And there's so many people over there grabbing the money as it's coming in. Great idea, IB. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Michael from Columbia, South Carolina.
Hey, what's up, South Carolina?
Not much. I had a quick question. What's really more a thought, really, than anything, and I wanted your opinion on it. It's really odd to me that, with conflict occurring now in Europe for, on a global geopolitical scale, the first time since World War II, I would say, on this scale.
No, if you don't include Bosnia.
That's true. However, I guess I mean more so in the sense of where multiple European countries are now talking about trying to put a stop to Russian aggression and everything like that.
There is no Russian aggression outside of Ukraine. This is a civil war. Okay? At least from Putin's viewpoint.
Of course, from the other side's viewpoint is what I'm more so referring to. It shocks me that the left can come out and say these things when during World War I, during World War II, with the last time with America's concern for Russian aggression outside of the Cold War, what did we do? We sat here and were neutral, and we stayed neutral. And until, of course, Japan involved us in World War II. But why does every American now, at least on the left, think we have to get?
Well, I'll tell you. You look at the Second World War. That was a big con job too by the military-industrial complex. When Pearl Harbor was bombed, and it was a sad loss of life. Don't misunderstand. But the ships in Pearl Harbor were World War I era rust buckets. And the modern ships, in 1941 were our aircraft carriers. They were all at sea during that attack. Coincidence? I don't think so. Roosevelt set that whole thing up to get us in that war.
Absolutely.
And Europe too.
Well, thank you so much.
I appreciate the call. Yeah. I mean, come on. And this is a civil war. When have we gotten involved in a civil war that had turned out well for us? Vietnam, Korea. There's no resolution to Korea. And then of course we had to withdraw from Saigon, from Vietnam. All right, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. If you're on hold, stand by. We've had some pretty good calls today. Good to hear from you all. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. 1 minute. We'll be back live. Twenty seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I'm going to recap what I started with at 6, and then I'm going to add something that I've not shared yet to the discussion. And I want to hear your thoughts on everything I'm going to bring up to you right now at 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Over the weekend, and those of you that live in Palm Beach or Northern Broward saw this. There were fighter jets that were scrambled because planes had violated restricted airspace around the Mar-a-Lago area on Saturday. Now, this has happened before, but what happened on Saturday was very unusual. And we have very little details on it in the press, but it happened a little after 11, again, a little after noon, and then a third time shortly after 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And I knew something was going on because around 11-ish, I had, now the weather was perfect on Saturday, perfect Florida weather. Not only the temperature, but the sky was clear. For the most part, there was some few clouds, but not too much. So we had a clear view of the sky. So around 11 or so, we got the back door open and we hear jets fly over low. And my wife's like, "What's going on?" I don't know. And then and my first thought when I heard it, I didn't go out the first time. My first thought was that at the private executive airport in Boca, maybe they have changed the flight patterns because the president's in town. I had seen that he had just gone to the golf course, the one where they tried to shoot him. That Ukraine lover that tried to shoot him at the golf course. And then about an hour later, around noon, it happened again. And this time I went outside. Holy smokes. They were fighters flying low and fast. Now, they were not going supersonic when they were over my house. I'm not sure where they were scrambled out of. Did they fly out of Homestead, or did they have fighters at one of our local airports? They may. I don't know. But they were flying, and then it happened again at 1-ish, around 1 in the afternoon. And I went outside. You could not only hear, but you could see the fighters. And they were flying low, and I thought the way that I later found F-16s, they were flying, I thought, in a strange way. They were completely banked on the side, almost like 90 degrees, and doing these very wide turns that went many, many miles. And later in the day, late in the afternoon, some press accounts reported that on 3 occasions, civilian aircraft entered restricted airspace at Mar-a-Lago. F-16s were scrambled, and in at least one of the instances, it was reported that the F-16 fired flares to get the attention of the aircraft. Now, that's happened before once. I remember it happened once or twice during President Trump's first term. The first time it happened, everybody knew it. They scrambled fighters out of Homestead, and they flew supersonic right over Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. And when they went over my house, it knocked down all kinds of boxes in my garage. But it wasn't 3 times in one day. It was a single incident. And if I remember correctly, there was a second incident after that as well. months later in the first term. These were single incidents. But on Saturday, there were 3 about an hour apart, which is very unusual, very strange, very weird. And then Saturday afternoon, there was an incident with the vice president at the golf course at the ski slopes in Vermont, which you may have heard about, and they had to take him for a time with his family to an undisclosed location, the Secret Service. So we had 4 incidents, 3 with the president and 1 with the vice president, and vice presidential incidents are very rare, the day after this confrontation with Zelensky at the White House. Do you think it's just a coincidence? In the first instance here in Florida on Saturday was about the time that the president arrived at the golf course where they tried to shoot him. And remember, the guy that tried to shoot him has all those Ukrainian connections. So first, do you think that's a coincidence or not? I don't think it is, and the callers don't seem to think that either. Now, I want to add something. Joe Rogan had Elon Musk on, and Joe Rogan said something that CNN is denying. Well, what's CNN going to say to this? Joe Rogan took note that it was very unusual at that day in Butler that CNN actually carried the rally. And Joe Rogan was suggesting, is it possible that CNN had some prior knowledge and were carrying that rally for a particular reason in Butler? And, one thing that I noticed about that rally in Butler, I noticed it at the time, I talked about it at the time, that was one of the rare instances where President Trump came out on time on the dime in Butler. And the reason he's late coming out on stage, when he gets to these locations, he's got to meet and greet with donors and local officials and everything, and that drags things out. But in Butler, he got right to the stage on time, on the dime. And the reason I know that he was right on time is because whenever there's a Trump rally, I put it on right side broadcasting usually, because most of them aren't on television, but this one was carried by all. And by CNN, according to Rogan, I did not know it was carried on CNN because I don't watch the rally. I just assume they're not. Rogan said that it was, which is very unusual for them to carry a random rally. But what I usually do is I have the rally on in the background, and I go about doing whatever it is I'm going to do. I don't mute it. I keep the volume on because I know when I hear Lee Greenwood, the president's coming out. And when I hear Lee Greenwood, I stop what I'm doing and I start watching the rally. And this one caught me off guard because he came out on time, right on the dime. And I don't know of a time that he's ever done that prior to that. Come out right on time on the dime? No. Why was he right on time the time that they shot him? And what are your thoughts on Joe Rogan, CNN, out of the blue, carrying a rally that was not expected to be anything out of the ordinary for a rally because we didn't know what was going to happen, but CNN carried it. I don't know, there's a lot of things going on here, but I'm here to tell you that what happened over the weekend is not, in my opinion, a coincidence. I just don't believe that it's a coincidence. And this thing with Joe Rogan has them talking, and CNN vehemently rejects the Joe Rogan conspiracy theory that CNN aired the Trump rally because they knew in advance. CNN, remember they've been embedded with the Roger Stone arrest. Remember that? I think it's a fair question because it's very unusual that they carry the rally. I don't know, but I do know this, that what happened yesterday, day before yesterday, today's Monday, what happened on Saturday, the day after the White House event with the president and the vice president, I don't believe that was a coincidence. I'm sorry. And nothing could convince me that it was a coincidence what happened on Saturday. The day after? So your thoughts on all of that certainly are welcome. And so far, everyone who's called in has agreed that they don't believe it's a coincidence. These are some bad people, man. These are some bad people. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Another thing I'd like to hear your thoughts on is the relevancy of the British Prime Minister being an atheist. Obviously the warmongers are in this war for profit. if you're an atheist, like the British Prime Minister, you don't think there is anything after your death. You're only concerned with worldly things, and you're not too concerned about morality since there's nowhere to go after but be worm food, according to him. So how can you let a guy who's a complete atheist, who believes that everything happens while you're here on Earth, take us steps closer to the Third World War, which is what he's doing? Oh, man, I tell you. These are some of the most frightening times I think we've ever been in. In fact, I would say in so many ways we're in a more dangerous situation today than we were on September 12th, 13th, and beyond for a while, because, at least the world was united behind us for peace now and justice. Now the world is trying to escalate a war that President Trump had a peace settlement plan that was perfect and ready to get signed. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I had to recap all of that for people that are just tuning in. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Astro from Seattle. How you doing, Brian?
All right, Astro. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was calling because, it's pretty odd that what happened in Butler and what happened at Mar-a-Lago with these two assassination attempts. The one in Butler, you had people pointing out the gunmen, and the law enforcement were just totally on standby, like nothing was happening. And, we heard Joe Rogan talking about that on the podcast with Elon Musk. Like, why weren't these guys scrambling and moving?
Well, part of the reason is that government work, government workers typically, can be incompetent. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Me?
Yes, you.
Wow. Okay, I'm calling from West Palm Beach. Listen, two things I wanted to get off my mind. Number one, the UK was the one that signed the mineral deal, and the French and the EU want Ukraine because that's how they build their own military-industrial complex, as they also try to unite their bond market. Number two, big thing happened, which is when Starmer gave Trump the letter from King Charles. Let's remember that anything that goes with Canada, the Paris Treaty, which was actually signed by the founders and King George, that's what sets the borders of the United States and Canada. So that meeting is
not really. Those borders have expanded and been beyond. This is not some Bilderberger workshop we're doing here. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our last break of the second hour. My name's Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, once, twice. All right, you're out. I'll take this one cold. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, good morning.
Yep. You're on the air.
This is Joan in Tampa Bay.
Hey, Joan, what's on your mind?
Did you hear that Norway refused to refuel a U.S. Navy ship?
I did hear that. I haven't got a confirmation of that, but okay.
And it looks like the European NATO nations...
Well, if you remember, hey, listen, NATO has refused that before. Remember when Reagan bombed Libya and France would not allow our planes to... A NATO ally that we saved would not allow our planes to fly over France, which caused, at least if I remember correctly, one of those planes to go down.
I remember that.
Yeah. So NATO has let us down and betrayed us before, so it wouldn't surprise me if Norway did it again.
But the European NATO countries, they seem to want to put boots on the ground.
They don't have any boots, don't you understand? They have very tiny militaries. They can barely put together a parade. I was talking 2 weeks ago. The British Navy, has more admirals than combat vessels in their navy. Okay, they don't have boots.
But they're talking big. You know what I'm saying?
They're literally poking the bear. They're trying to instigate and get Putin to make a move to force Trump into not ending the war. They're trying to agitate Putin to get him to react.
Right, but we don't need to react, do we? I mean, or should we just get out of NATO?
We can't get out. We can't. Apparently, we can't get out of NATO. It's in law. It would take congressional action, a big congressional action. So we just can't get out of NATO because Trump says so. Apparently, at least that's what the analysts are saying. But you know how they go. All right, appreciate the call. All right, our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi.
Yep, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Frankie D. from the Bronx, now in MAGA country, Martin County.
Hey.
Two questions for you, Brian. Why don't we ever force one of these planes that's violating our airspace to land and talk to the pilot, and what are you doing?
I'm sure they have. They just haven't bothered to tell us. There's no way that they just waved them off. Believe me, there had to be somebody talking to them. They just haven't released it to the public.
All right, I'll drink to that. Another big question I'm very concerned about: what's the decision on whether Trump is going to give him the weapons?
Trump over the weekend, the president said they're cutting Ukraine off. No more money.
I hope this happens. It's got to happen. I'm behind Trump 100%. I hope he can force this thing to happen.
But some of these things have been done through bills that have been passed by Congress. So some of these things are not so easy to stop, right? If it's been passed by Congress, it's approved. It's like a law. So that it's not so easy.
Yeah, he's hampered also by the ramifications of our legal system. Okay, thanks, Brian.
All right.
You're doing a great job. That's all I got to say. Fantastic.
All right. We love our Martin.
Great show.
We love our Martin MAGA County people. Thanks so much. I want to tell everyone though, it's Monday. Did you do a little bit more over the weekend than you do during the week? I know I did. I'm running out in the yard looking at fighter jets flying over, protecting the president. If you're suffering with pain today, some aches and pains from your weekend activity, go see Dr. Appleton. Today, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome. Dr. Appleton has rid me of pain 7 times. 7 times. Sometimes from injuries. I've had 3 shoulder injuries he's treated me for. Arthritis in my hand. My knee injury and others. I mean, it's amazing. His laser wave pain treatment works on every type of pain I have ever heard of. Let me go through this incomplete list. Okay, this is a very incomplete list, but these are some of the most common pains: arthritis, bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia. Oh man, that's people really suffer from that. Plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated discs, acute pain, chronic pain. The list goes on. Living with pain is not just a part of growing older. And you know, with the laser treatment of Dr. Appleton's, there's no drugs, no shots, no injections, no pain. You don't even feel it when he's giving you the laser treatment. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself, and the laser actually repairs the damage that's causing the pain. That's why the 7 times he's treated me and rid me of pain, it hasn't returned. If you have x-rays or scans, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will gladly look them over. It's a free consultation. Give him a call, 954-973-0710, and say bye-bye to your pain, like I've done 7 times. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Okay, so this is the latest. This is in the Gateway Pundit, but this is the latest update on the F-16 fighter jets scrambled over Mar-a-Lago this weekend. Secret Service investigating after F-16 fighter jets scramble to intercept multiple aircraft violating airspace over Palm Beach on Saturday. Newsmax host Todd Starnes reported Saturday that 3 aircraft were escorted out of the area by F-16 fighter jets at 11:05, 12:10, and 12:50. And that's about the time that the second 2 is when I went outside to see what was going on. So we had 3 incidents about an hour apart. Is that a security breach or a test? During 2 of the intercepts, the fighter jets had to deploy flares, and all 3 planes were safely escorted out of the restricted airspace. The Secret Service released a statement to Real Clear Politics that said this: the interdiction was conducted according to established NORAD protocols. Initial reports indicate that civilian aircraft inadvertently entered the restricted airspace over Palm Beach. Our protective intelligence teams are investigating. Pilots are reminded, and it goes in about FAA. I'm sorry, 3 times in one day, about an hour apart. The same day there's an incident with the vice president. The day after, everything goes nuts with Zelensky. Maybe. But I find that they're giving us very little information on this. Now, after the top of the hour, Steve will be joining us, and we'll talk about the weekend events. But I got to tell you, don't let anyone convince you that the president and vice president did not act appropriately on Friday with Zelensky. Zelensky had no intention of signing that mineral deal. None. He refused to sign it. Marco Rubio talked about this. He refused to sign it twice in Ukraine, and then Ukraine insisted on this White House meeting, and then he got there and had no intention on signing it. Now, there's multiple reports on who got him worked up, but they obviously did. They got him worked up to do this, and look what happened. And I'm going to tell you this. Okay, Ukraine, we're done with Ukraine. The American people don't want anything to do with it. And that incident with the president and vice president, I haven't seen people in this country so united with American pride since 9/11, when President Bush was with the firefighter on the rubble. It's the last time we had a presidential moment like that. I mean, did you not feel a sense of American pride watching that? And J.D. Vance, what a standout. And, you know, he's new at this level. He was hardly in the Senate. And for him to face down Zelensky like that, woo, it was a sight to see. It was beautiful. And, you know, President Trump gave an interview a week or 2 ago, and they asked, I can't remember which interviewer asked, but asked him, is J.D. Vance your successor? He says no. He has to earn the endorsement. Well, I think he did a pretty good job on Friday of getting a step closer to earning that endorsement. I'd be so comfortable with him as our second MAGA president. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing, the way J.D. Vance. And now there's a lot of talk that Trump and J.D. planned this. Well, first off, nobody knows that, but let's say they did. So what? He lied. He doesn't want the war to end. So what if they planned it? That makes it something bad. I don't think, I've been following politics and news my entire life, even when I was a kid. I do not ever remember a vice president of the United States doing something that big before. And I don't know if you've seen the footage. I know some people have had to replay this. The closest time we saw anything like this is when President Trump had that debate live on TV with Pelosi and Schumer, and Pence sit there in silence, didn't say a word. And if you go back and watch, he was like tuned out. And J.D. Vance had President Trump's back, and let me tell you, people respect that. So many have not had the president's back and worked against him. When we have something like that happen, where JD's backing up our president, that made a lot of people feel good. No, that was a sense of American pride in the presidency that was so beautiful. And of course, the people on the left, they're going to disagree with anything Trump has to say or does. But when Marco Rubio, what happened after, Marco Rubio kicked the Ukrainians out of the White House. And then the White House staff and the press ate the food that they had laid out for Zelensky and the Ukrainians. I wish there was video of that. I haven't seen any video of them actually kicking them out or eating the food they put out for them. It's got to exist. It's got to. Somebody's got to have video of that. I hope they release it. That'd be a great new ad, wouldn't it? You know how President Trump puts these videos up every once in a while on True Social? I'd love to see that. All right. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go. My name's Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Our number, 888-465-2631. We'll be back right after our top-of-the-hour break. All right, you there? I can't hear Steve. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold because I got to get Scott. So I'm going to talk to Scott, then I'll go to you, but you'll be on hold, okay? Yeah, coming out of the break will be Scott, and then I'll go to you, and then we'll be... Okay, hold on. Hey, Scott, it's Brian. Hey, how you doing? We got about, let me look at the time. I'll give you the exact. We got about 90 seconds. And then we'll be on the air. Did you happen to find that spot? When'd you email it? Over the weekend? Oh, that one? No, that one... I texted you back. The audio quality on that one just wasn't quite good enough. We're talking about the one we had last year. I don't have it. I'll look again. But after we're done talking, can you send it again? Okay. We got it. I'm going to put you on hold. You're going to hear music. Next time you hear my voice, we'll be on the air. Okay. I'll talk to you after I get off the air. Not that one. There was some noise in the back. There's some. All right, we got about 30 seconds. Okay, hold on. I'll look for it again, and then I'll call you later today. Yeah, yeah. No, I switched that out. All right, hold on. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. It's time to check in with Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. He's going to tell you how he's going to save you big money all year long, especially during those hot summer months. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. I can barely hear you.
That's okay. Well, I can hear you, so we're good to go.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a March Madness month where if you get the radiant barrier and the insulation together, which is what most people do anyways, you get them you get them for $1 each. So instead of spending $1.39 on radiant barrier, you'd spend $1 on radiant barrier.
Wow.
Instead of spending $1.19 on insulation, you'll spend $1 on insulation.
Wow.
That's quite a savings, and that's like ultra wholesale pricing.
That's absolutely
We
amazing.
really need to work for March.
Now, well, you know, what happens after March, it starts getting hotter. And as it gets hotter, it's more difficult to work in the attic. So they can get the job done faster, which saves some money for Scout on the labor, too, if you get this in the month of March. Can you tell people what radiant barrier is exactly and what it does?
Well, the radiant barrier is a aluminum foil with a mylar inside of it and aluminum foil on both sides, and basically it reflects the heat right back out of the roof. So your roof drops, your attic drops in temperature about 30 to 40 degrees. Your insulation doesn't get hot. Your ceilings don't get hot. I mean, it literally drops the temperature in the house that you're cooling from 10 or, they'll drop it 10 or 15 degrees. Like we do people's garages with this product, and they have no AC, and the garage is, pretty cool and pretty crisp.
Yeah.
And usually 10 or 15 degrees cooler than it was before. So, I mean, it's quite a game changer.
Yeah, Scott joins us every year as the weather heats up, and he's been with us for 15 or more years here on the program. And the way that I kind of think of the radiant barrier, it's like putting a big shade tree over your house because, your air conditioning ducts are in your attic. And how hot does an attic get in Florida during the day, Scott?
It depends what kind of material it's made out of, but I've seen them as hot as 140 degrees. Like a shingle attic is typically 120, but some of those metal roofs, like especially if they're colored black, you see those black metal roofs, they're just miserable.
Yeah.
And even if you get a really, really dark tile roof, it can be 120, 130.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
So,
and your air just has to run all day nonstop to keep up, and the house still feels hot because you're still feeling the radiant heat wave.
That's right. And once the radiant barrier is installed, it is there, and you're saving money on your electric bill all year long, forever and ever, or at least as long as you're in the home. So, and this is really great. And I bet you people that have two-story houses that this is amazing for them because you go to people that have that second story, and that second story can be pretty toasty. Scott, give people
usually it'll be 5, maybe even 10 degrees hotter on the second floor.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have to put an extra air conditioner in, and that just to try and keep it cool.
That's right.
It's still uncomfortable.
That's right.
So this is a really, really cheap economical fix.
Absolutely.
For doing it, and like everyone says, well, spray foam is the best. Well, it works the best, but now insurance companies are not covering roofs that leak that have spray foam because the roof goes from $60,000 to repair to $100,000 if they have to tear all the wood off because the spray foam adheres to it. You have to take the wood, the rafters, everything. It turns it double. It makes it cost double or even sometimes triple. So a lot of insurance companies are putting in their policies now they won't cover spray foam.
And I've had people tell me in the real estate business that people don't want to buy a house with spray foam in it because they know that down the road that can cause the problems you're talking about. Listen, give Scott a call. He's got an incredible special going on for the month of March. Scott, what's your number?
954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. And I answer my phone. And if I don't answer my phone, don't leave a message. Just shoot me a text, or I'll get back to you because I return all missed calls.
All right, Scott. We'll talk later in the week. You have a good day. All right, take care. Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. All right, give him a call. All right, we got Steve Kane joining us. Good morning, Steve Kane.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh well, I'm doing great.
Voice is not quite with me yet, but
well,
it'll join us in progress.
Well, the clock's ticking, so it's got to kick in quick. it'll be once it kicks in, you could save it for tomorrow if it doesn't kick in by the end. I was talking before the top of the hour. That White House exchange with the president, the vice president, and Zelensky. I have not seen a bipartisan American sense of pride in a president like that since Bush on the rubble with the firefighter after 9/11.
It was one of a kind. It was one of a kind. There's never been anything like that.
Mm-mm.
It was mind-blowing. It was dramatic, and it was unbelievably embarrassing for Zelensky. I'd like to start with where we are. A lot of people getting up this morning. By the way, did you get any information on the Academy Awards?
They suck. I mean, you think I watched that crap? First off, Hollywood should be embarrassed to even give out Oscars right now with the garbage they're putting out. There's nothing Oscar worthy, I promise you. And Conan O'Brien, I did see video of it where they were all wearing the Ukrainian flag colors. And maybe you have an example, Steve, because I haven't been able to think of one. Do you know of a time when people in America took to the streets in favor of a war? I mean, there's been peace demonstrations, but these are pro-war demonstrators.
These people are so confused they don't know what they're doing. I'd like to pick up, as of this morning, I have only one question on the Academy Awards, then we'll get away from it.
Other than they sucked.
Other than they sucked, and they evidently really, really sucked. But I'm following the Bob Dylan film. Do you know if it took any of the...
I'm going to tell you something, okay? Now, this is not going to be a popular position. Bob Dylan, while his lyrics are great poetry, he sounds like a kazoo when he sings. And that's a generational thing. Those of you from that era love Bob Dylan. I think Bob Dylan is off. Now, the lyrics of his songs are beautiful lyrics, a lot of them, but he sounds like a kazoo when he sings. He's
got a lot of soul, but you don't know if Can I Play Dylan won the best actor?
I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea.
Somebody will give us that. But anyway, let's move. We got to move on.
Can Bob Dylan sing? I would say no. I don't think he can sing. He can write songs, but he can't sing, and he's a weird-looking guy. I don't even know what his ethnicity. Do you know what his ethnicity is? He's a strange guy. But where we stand now, and just one last thing on the Oscars. Okay, I just say this.
And then I have a question after your one thing. Go
ahead. Okay, Conan O'Brien, I know, said some crazy things, okay, last night about Trump and everything else. Conan O'Brien no longer has a television show, and he hasn't for years. He has a podcast. And, hey, I'm a big podcast fan. I have a podcast too, but I wasn't hosting The Tonight Show. And he wants more than anything to be back on television. He's really been on the outs in Hollywood. So whatever Conan O'Brien said or did, it was virtue signaling to try to get these wokesters in Hollywood to get him back on TV. All right? It was just, I've never seen, the couple of clips I saw of him were just, he was kissing so much woke butt. I was embarrassed for him. But what was your question?
My question had to do with whether who's the guy that played the Bob Dylan?
See, I don't know the name of one actor at the Oscars last night.
I don't know, whatever. He was up for Best Picture, Best Actor, and I'm just wondering if he won the award. Somebody will call him.
Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie?
No, I've not seen it yet, and I was looking forward to it coming out. Somehow I've lost my enthusiasm for it. But let's get to the business at hand. Because this is a big day, of course.
Absolutely.
I got up this morning. My day started with the announcement that our fair-haired boy has changed his mind again, and now Zelensky wants to decide he'll give us the minerals. And I have not heard whether our president has accepted that or not.
Well, first,
So that's
Steve,
where
yes.
I'm at
Well,
now.
hold on a second. Zelensky has 3 times prior. The White House meeting was the 3rd time he promised to sign the mineral deal and didn't. Okay,
I know.
So and now he's saying wherever in the world he is right now. I don't know if he's back in Ukraine or where, but now he's saying he wants to sign it for a 4th time. Sign the paper and send it to Trump. Okay, no more meetings.
What I want to know is what I mean. Well, I am very interested in what you would do. I'm more interested in what Trump has done. Has Trump reacted to that?
He's cut off all funding to Ukraine.
Okay, so he said no.
No, Zelensky hasn't sent the agreement. Sign the paper and send it to Trump.
Well, when I heard this morning, when I first put on my radio, or my television actually, not my radio. I don't get to radio till later in the day. What I heard was that Zelensky had done an about face and once again said he'll sign the minerals deal. That's what I heard.
But that'll be the 4th time he said he would sign it, but he hasn't signed it.
I understand. But he has made the statement that he will. I want to start from there. Can we start
Okay,
from
so
there?
for the 4th time he said this is the 4th time he said he would sign it, but he hasn't signed it. He's like using that as some kind of carrot. I don't think Trump's going to meet with him again.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out.
He tried to meet with Trump again late in the day on Friday, and Trump said no.
Was that before or after Zelensky gave in on the mineral deal?
He didn't give in on the mineral deal. He keeps teasing the idea that he's going to sign the agreement and then never signs it. So, I mean, why? What does he need? He wants to come back to the White House. I don't think if he signs the agreement and sends it to Trump, I'm sure Trump would accept it. But there's not going to be any more meetings. In fact, it seems to me what I'm hearing from the Trump.
It's not, I mean, Trump is not going to meet.
No. Well, he can sign it and have it sent to Trump. There's not going to be any ceremonies or meetings.
Anything like that is in the works.
No.
Okay.
All we have is the good word of Zelensky that he's open to signing it.
Okay.
Trump came up with. Let's take our break so we can get back on schedule, okay? Trump came up with
That'd
the
be
perfect.
nice.
Trump came up with the perfect peace plan, and Zelensky wouldn't do it. So I'm gonna put you on hold, Steve. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll recap the Trump peace plan, and we'll take some calls as well at 1-888-465-2631. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this. Okay. 1 minute. We'll be back. Steve, you there?
Yes.
All right, stand by. Everybody, we'll be back in about 45 seconds. So I just have you on early.
Okay.
30 seconds. All right, stand by. 6 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. So there's a lot going on here, Steve, with Trump and Putin and Zelensky and Ukraine and Russia, all right?
And you're leaving out one name that I want to throw in the mix because it's important.
What?
That senator I told you about from Connecticut. What's his name?
I don't remember his name.
I'm trying to remember his name, and I can't remember his name, but he's the one who personally sabotaged this behind the scenes.
It may be, yeah, well, maybe. If anyone knows who Steve's referencing, give us a call. Okay.
Chris Van something.
Yeah, only Van I know is Van Halen, and I'd rather they make a movie about Van Halen than Dylan. The thing that's going on here, and this is insane what's happening. President Trump had a peace deal all set up that was perfect on Friday, and Zelensky, who had no intention on signing the mineral deal, got the whole deal tossed out. And
They worked him up. This Connecticut senator worked him up and made him promises that if he'd turn his back on Trump,
yeah,
they talked him into it, and that Congress would give him the money that he wanted.
Well,
they made all kinds of ridiculous promises that they're not going to keep.
Like most actors, Zelensky is stupid and can only go in with a script that educated people have written for him. And he should understand that it doesn't matter what a Democrat tells him; they're not in power. Okay, they're out of power.
Zelensky's a mess.
They have no influence. It doesn't matter what they say. Somebody had told me it was Chris Murphy you were thinking of. Murphy?
Chris Murphy, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That is right.
Okay, so
Chris Murphy.
But the thing about I'll tell you what Trump's peace plan was, and then what may be happening now. Okay, Trump's plan was to get the mineral deal, not just for the money to get the United States paid back. Okay, that was part of it. But those mines. See, I didn't realize this until Friday, and I was listening to people talk about it. Then you really understand the brilliance of Trump and the major importance beyond the money. Those mines, for the most part, are in the part of Ukraine that borders Russia. They're on the Russian side of Ukraine, okay? So what Trump's plan is to get those mineral deals, to get American workers working in those mines in eastern Ukraine along whatever border Russia eventually ends up with, who will be living there with their families, have their children over there, which would stop Russia from coming into Ukraine in the future because they don't want to kill Americans. He was setting up a non-military based DMZ kind of situation like we have in Korea. And it was brilliant. Because with no troops, without those American workers there with their families, any peace treaty in agreement with Russia and Ukraine, there will always be border skirmishes. And sometimes those skirmishes will get out of control, like Gaza, right, when they came into the music festival. But with Americans there, they're not going to come in. And
you're giving an awful lot of credit to
when has Putin attacked Americans? You know.
Well, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible.
Anything's possible. Remember what Trump said to that reporter? What if a meteor falls on our heads? You know, anything's possible. But you know but I thought that was a pretty brilliant plan. And
it sounds good.
And a lot of people are talking about, well, what really caused things to blow up? Because that meeting was almost an hour long. And the part where things got interesting were the last 11, 12 minutes of it. And, you know, and if you remember, President Trump told Zelensky, you won't even agree to a ceasefire so that they can cool things off and have a summit meeting. The idea of combat ending is not what Zelensky wants. Ukraine, according to the president and vice president, have hold on, Steve. What was that?
Wasn't a ceasefire part of the deal that Trump presented.
Yes, and
to
Zelensky would not agree to a ceasefire, to have talks.
But that was the turnabout.
That's when things started to go, I wouldn't say south. I think things worked out for the best because Zelensky got exposed. But what I'm thinking, if you're on hold, stand by. What very well could happen is Trump very well may come out with a peace agreement from Putin without anybody knowing about it and just announcing that they did it. And I'll tell you, I bet you now Putin is more willing to make a favorable peace offering than ever. Because if he comes back with a great peace deal with Trump, it humiliates Zelensky and Europe, which I think he would enjoy. So Trump and Putin may come up with a secret peace deal. So if that happens and Trump comes out, well, what would the reaction be? If Trump comes out with a peace deal,
Trump's a hero. Trump's a hero.
Well, he's always our hero, but I'm talking about to the media and the establishment and all those people. How would they react to it?
Well, the Democrats are never going to like it, and there's a hardcore bunch that are trying to do the president in.
That's right. That's right. So I'm kind of hoping that's the way it goes. I really am. And this thing with England over the weekend, where they're going to give aid and troops on the ground, if you really listen to what the prime minister said, it's not what he said. He said, with America, they'll have boots on the ground and give money with America's backing, and we're not backing it. So that was just a bunch of lies from the UK over the weekend. There's nothing there. You know, they're trying to stir the pot with Putin, but I'm expecting Trump to come out with an announcement that he has at least the beginnings of an agreement with Putin. And what I'm hearing more
that
than
sounds like a good solid prediction to me.
Yeah, and what you're starting to notice if you listen to the people that are in charge, which are the Trump people, MAGA people, all right, it doesn't matter what the media say in this country. Trump doesn't care. And it doesn't matter what Democrats say, they're not in power. But what I'm hearing in the interview, I'm not talking about secret sources of people whispering in my ear like all these other people make up that they have. But if you listen to those, what do they call them, the Trump surrogates on the talk shows, they're talking about regime change in Ukraine. They want a new president, somebody that
that's all well and good, but I'll tell you something. They got to get up pretty early in the morning to fool our president, and I think that it's going to play out along the lines of what you talked about. I think Zelensky's going to look like an idiot, and I think that the most important reaction is that of the polls right now, because this is the first time there's been a big blow up right before his State of the Union.
You think
speech.
Trump cares about that? You know, I would. You know this.
Yeah.
Really?
Believe me, they're going to be watching. Well, they've got to keep an eye on it. They got no choice. They're going to look.
What if? What if?
I didn't say they're going to be guided by it. I didn't say that. But I'm saying that they're going to be looking at those polls. If they can keep their numbers where they are after this, that's a major affirmation.
Well, if you look at the tone of everything, America is so proud of President Trump and the vice president. Could you imagine if this joint session of Congress where he's going to address, could you imagine if Trump comes in there and announces he's got a peace deal with Putin for the Ukraine war? Oh my goodness. Could you imagine? That would be so. You want to talk about making news. Now, I want to tell you guys about the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Steve, I love this thing. You know, obviously it's part of my home security system, and it's a valuable part, and it's great to have because you get a notification on your cell phone anytime there's movement near your door, no matter where you are, at the store, at Publix, at the mall, or on our cruise next month. Although, actually, we're leaving in 27 days, Steve, on our cruise. So start packing. But I kind of like play games with the solicitors. All these door-to-door salesmen, I feel bad for them. That's a tough way to make a living, but they never fool me. I see them coming. I can see I get the notification, I look, and they're there. So I never answer the doors for those guys. But you can get a free doorbell camera from Sloman's that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. I'm going to give you the number in a minute. You want to take advantage of this. Sloman's, they're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Plus, you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Here's the number. Toll free. It's easy to remember. 1-800-ALARM-ME. 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour and be right back. All right, we got something when we get back. If you're on hold, hang in there. "90 seconds, we'll be back." Steve, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, 30 seconds. All right, I got something just dropped. I'll tell you when we get back.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you when we get back. We'll be back in 20
Yep.
seconds. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve on the line. All right, Steve, some big news just dropped And I tell you, I don't know. Maybe the president's listening to us. Maybe. He just posted on Truth Social. He's talking about the address to Congress. Okay, tomorrow, which is tomorrow night.
Yep.
And it's very short and sweet. And it's every letter of every word he put in all caps. Which, and you know, for those that don't know, which would be like you, Steve, because you know. You don't know how these internet things work. The fact that he used all caps of every letter of every word means he's saying it loudly. Okay, it means you're shouting.
I know that much.
This is what the president said. Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. All caps. Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. So he's not going to promise something big and not deliver something big.
He's the best.
So they're going to spend the next 2 days speculating on what it would be.
Talk about knowing how to capture the news cycle. It's wonderful.
For 2 days, because it's going to be today and tomorrow. Something big. Oh, boy. I hope.
You might be right. I mean, that's
Peachtree.
a great scenario you painted.
Oh my goodness!
The only thing is, he's been resisting it up till now. He's been resisting. The move.
Yeah.
All along, he doesn't want to ceasefire up till now. But you got to change with the times.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect move.
Oh.
He turns out the hero.
He's not going to promise something big and not deliver.
I can't think what else would be likely. I can't think of anything.
I don't know. All right, you want to take some calls?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. We'll take these. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Steve. Good morning. Tom from Florida. Man,
how are you?
How many years? I'm doing good, Steve. I mean, how many years we've been watching presidential things? I mean, I guess we've never saw one like that, So Trump, he delivers on his, basically what I hoped he wouldn't do, and basically he's Putin's little big. He's Putin's little big.
It's interesting you use that. Don't say that word on the air, but excuse me, Tom. Can you stop talking for a second? Tom, can you stop talking for a second? In the Oval Office, Putin, Zelensky called JD the B word in Russian.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, good.
If he talked to me like that, I would call him that too.
Oh,
First of all, Russia needs to be in the room with Ukraine. That's how a deal gets reached, Brian. It's not like backdoor channels or promising it as a campaign thing. It's it gets done. Okay, Trump is a magician. Okay, everybody's Elon Musk and his
oh my goodness, Tom.
This, that, and the other thing.
Tom, all of a sudden you're a bit. Tom's. Did you hear this, Steve? Tom's a big deal maker now. He knows how negotiations work.
Hey, Brian, I'll tell you one thing. Guess what? I didn't bankrupt 3 casinos, not give my tax returns, and still, where's the prices drop?
Tom.
Steve, I'm confused too, man.
You sound drunk.
Let me
I thought you were against Putin.
Tom, let me talk to you for a second. I thought we're all we're all in favor of Trump, aren't we?
I am not. I wanted Trump to not do what he does, and I thought, Steve, that you honestly
why you called it
Putin as a threat.
Take a breath. Why did you call in the beginning of this call pretending to be why did you call in like you were a Trump supporter?
Steve,
I
wanted the president. I wanted whoever was elected to be a president for the people, not a disruptor. And I am not on Putin's side, and nor should any American be. Okay? It's like, Canada.
All right, Tom, slow down. Steve, does Tom sound hysterical? Steve?
For a little bit.
I'm Ukrainian. I want that war to end. I think that it was disgraceful that the president.
All right, Tom, take care. I appreciate the call. Oh my goodness. I mean, that was just very strange with Tom. He just didn't sound himself. Oh, Steve, I got to tell you. You know what I did yesterday?
What?
I put another hole in my belt. Since
you're gonna waste away here.
Well, you'll see me in 27 days on the cruise, but I had gained weight since the last cruise. So you know what I discovered? You know what I discovered since the last cruise?
What's that?
My love of Hershey chocolate bars. Oh my goodness.
They're on your diet?
No, that's what caused me to have to lose weight. But since I started the Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I've had to add 2 holes to my belt. I wasn't even wearing a belt before because I didn't have to. My pants were held up fine. But I had to add the second hole to my belt on my own since I started Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It's amazing. And the cool thing is I've reached my weight loss goal now. My weight loss goal was 25 pounds before March 30th. That's when we leave on the cruise. I'm already there. We're 27 days out. So I got a decision to make. Am I going to stick at my goal or am I going to continue? I set a goal higher than I really wanted to lose by a few pounds. I wanted to give a little buffer. And I didn't think I could do it by March 30th. And Dr. Zuckerman at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, he says, you got it, Brian. You got it. It's not going to be a problem. And here I am 27 days before and I reached the goal. That's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So I got to decide, am I going to stick with my goal or increase it? I'm very happy with, you know what I've noticed the most? It's not just that I look better and everything else, how much energy I have. I've never had so much energy. And people keep asking me, I'm not taking any medications. I'm not on Ozempic or anything like that. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. I'm going to give you the number, and it's amazing, Steve. It's really amazing. And I'm not hungry. And I before Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I was always hungry. I was on the air like, I couldn't remember. I would tell you, don't talk about Wings Plus until at the end of the show because I get hungry. It's making me hungry. I don't have that problem. I'm not hungry all the time like I was before. So give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlasssecret.com. I've gotten real good at adding the holes to the belt. All right. You want to take more calls?
Sure.
I'm trying to figure why Tom is so hysterical. I couldn't.
Tom has problems. You get Trump arrangements. What do you expect?
Oh, and something. Yeah, the idea that Trump announced something big tomorrow night, he's in a panic because he knows it's good news for Trump, which is good news for America, and he wants America
He sees the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's go. Back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Jerry from Margate.
Hey, Jerry, speak up, buddy.
Okay. This Zelensky thing. Number one, I like your show, and I feel the same way you do about Trump.
But. Yeah, I told you, but.
This instance with Zelensky, I feel like somebody made a mistake.
Yeah, Zelensky.
Exactly.
No, well, they should have. They didn't have this set up. They didn't have. They
had it set up. He didn't go along with the setup. The whole thing was planned out.
Zelensky wants. I think he wants to sign the deal, but he's worried about security because Putin has lied to him so many times.
It's a little late for that. And at this point, Zelensky's got to worry about his own credibility.
He's lied to the president 3 times.
After what he pulled.
Yep.
When it came to the meeting, they shouldn't. This should have been a celebration meeting.
It was supposed to be.
No, they should have signed the thing before this meeting. And Zelensky obviously didn't understand that about the security. It's an inferred security because when we're in there digging for the minerals, then we're going to protect them.
I understand that, and Brian understands that, but we're not the ones that need to be convinced.
See, let me ask you, hold on, caller. Do you like the movies? You like movies? TV shows?
Sorry, say it again.
Do you like movies and television shows?
Yeah.
Okay. Like who, like what? Like, you have actors. When actors are in a television show or movie and they have these dramatic words that make them sound so intelligent, where do they get those words from?
Well, they have a script.
They have a script. Well, see, Zelensky's an actor, and he's not a very good one. He's a third-rate C-level comic.
Well,
and
Zelensky,
he got a new script from the warmongers and never Trumpers. And they got him. He met with these people before, and Zelensky went in there and threw out the Trump script and started using, I don't know, Susan Rice and Pelosi's script,
Trump, but somebody in the administration screwed up. Okay.
They did not. No.
They didn't have him prepared for the meeting.
Oh, okay. Oh, hold on. I misunderstood. Someone in Zelensky's administration screwed up.
No, the Trump administration.
Oh, no. Why was the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States looking like she was going to collapse in shame with her hand over her face in the Oval Office?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just now it could have been could have been that he understood. And then he thought that when he got into public, he could browbeat Trump into promise.
That's right.
Security.
These never Trump.
He fell into the hands of these Democratic activists headed
Yes.
by this. What the hell is the name of that?
Chris Murphy.
Chris Murphy. He fell in with the Chris Murphy, and Chris Murphy brainwashed him or something.
Yes.
And then convinced him to switch sides.
Gave him a script.
Promised him. Probably Chris Murphy, when the truth is all out there, you'll find out what Murphy told him is that he would guarantee that the Senate would continue to support him even though Trump wouldn't. And
listen, we gotta run. Wait, hey, listen, caller from Margate. We gotta run for the Gold Report, but I appreciate the call. All right, great call. Yeah, you brought up some good stuff. All right, Steve, I want to put you on hold. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Back after this. Hey there. Hold on. Okay. 47. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. It's time for the first gold and precious metals report of the week from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca. We have William Youngerman. William Youngerman, how the metals starting the week off?
The metals are starting out the week strong after last week's close of testing the support level of $2,850 on Friday, actually getting down as low as $2,831, and then coming back strong to close out the week at $2,857.10 the ounce, which was down $19.50 on Friday, giving us a nice buying opportunity last week after the very nice gains that we've seen in the month of February. The strong support showing at 28.50 again, as I said, and the market's again trying to scare out some weak hands, I think, in the last couple of weeks with these pushes downward and then coming right back up strong. We've seen a little panic selling, and then the market's come right back up. So don't be discouraged by any of these dips. Take advantage of them. They're buying opportunities. They're not time to panic out of your precious metals. Gold, silver, last week closed out $31.10, down 14 cents. Platinum closed down $2 at $9.43, and palladium was up $3 on Friday at $9.05. Overnight, we've seen gold trade in a range of $2,857 all the way up to $2,879, and right now we're at $2,872. Wow. That's up $14.90 at $2,872. Silver up 55 cents at $31.65 the ounce. Platinum gaining $14 at $9.57, and palladium up $25 at $930. So again, don't be panicked on gold or silver. These markets are going higher, and they just give you a once in a while a nice little buying opportunity like we saw last week.
Absolutely. You know, we talked a lot last week about the gold. Gold, of course, is priced to buy, but in silver, what are some of the recommendations you have right now for the best deals in silver, both bars and 1 ounce coins?
Yeah, pretty much everything is on sale as far as silver premiums are concerned. So take advantage of them. The Silver Eagle premiums are starting to go up. So if you're thinking about Silver Eagles, if you like your Silver Eagles, take advantage of now, because right now the premiums are in line with normality, but they could shoot up dramatically higher. So take advantage of any dips in the silver price, and all the other products are great values. If you're a big stacker, you want to buy 100-ounce bars at very low premiums.
Absolutely. Well, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And when you go into the building, William Youngerman is right across from the bank lobby. You can give him a call at 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010, and find both his phone number and address on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a nice day.
All right, take care. All right, we are back. Let me get Steve Kane back on the line. Steve Kane, you back with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, so there's a panic in the streets that Trump's going to end. You know, Marco Rubio was on, I think this was with Stephanopoulos yesterday. May have been another show, but I think it was Stephanopoulos. But anyway, Marco Rubio said if a Democrat had set this deal up that Trump set up, they'd be giving him the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, yeah, there's no question of that.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to our phones as the clock is ticking down towards the end. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
What's up,
Hi, Steve.
Brian?
How are you? You know, if you watched that telecast from the Oval Office and you saw the reaction of the Ukrainian ambassador, she was absolutely apoplectic with what was going on. I mean, she almost looked like she was having a breakdown. You wonder, did we just see the unmasking of a tyrant for the world to see, who is more interested in this cash flow coming over into his country rather than have a peace deal and saving lives? I don't think so. This guy's got a lot of flashing yellow lights around him, Zelensky. I don't think you can trust the guy, and he's got an attitude problem too.
Zelensky is a sick puppy. The real villain is this guy Murphy, the senator from
well, isn't Murphy launching trial balloons to try and be the guy to run for president?
That's what it's all about. They decided they can't make it with the California governor, so he's trying to take over for what the?
Well, Governor Cuomo is making his move, becoming mayor of New York.
Well,
and now the California governor wants to do podcasts with MAGA people.
Yeah, good luck.
You can't make this stuff up. It's unbelievable. But this guy, I think, really got unmasked. I think the president and vice president did a very good job of masking this guy. He's basically a tyrant. He is not interested in a peace deal. He's not interested in a ceasefire. You think that would be primary? That's not where he's coming from. This guy, I
used to be a fan of Zelensky, but you know what I just realized about him and all this? It really puts him in perspective. Zelensky, with all the talk that's going on about how they're not happy with the deal that Trump offered and all that, the one thing you haven't heard from Zelensky is he wants to make a deal to get those 1,000 kids back to their parents, the ones that were kidnapped from the Russians.
Yeah.
It's like he's written them off. He doesn't even mention them in the discussion.
Well, it was that Oval Office White House exchange. I was so proud of J.D. Vance. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wasn't he good?
Yeah.
And I liked when he said, you campaign for the other side, for the opposition in Pennsylvania.
That was cute.
Yeah.
That was cute.
J.D. Vance is a great guy to have in the bullpen there for. But this Zelensky, I was curious if they actually had an election in the Ukraine, would this guy win? I'm not so sure.
Well, there needs to be a new president over there. I mean, he just listen. There's three players, right? Putin, Trump, and Zelensky, and Zelensky hates Putin and he hates Trump. So who's he? Right? I mean, if he can't get along with either of them, there's something wrong with him. And
I'm not sure he doesn't hate Trump more than he hates Putin. I mean, it's very strange.
Putin made him rich.
Yeah.
Did either of you ever see his television show, Zelensky's TV show that he starred in?
I saw a few minutes of it. It's from several years back.
I saw it when this war first started. It was on Netflix, and I don't know if it's still on Netflix. And I watched it with subtitles.
Yeah.
And he plays an actor who becomes president of Ukraine. And
that's right.
And the last scene, you can't make this up. This is I don't remember what it's called. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. But in the last scene, he gets a phone call and it's Putin. It's the last scene of the show. Okay. It ended in a cliffhanger. So I don't know, the cliffhanger. Now it's reality TV.
But he was basically a third-rate comic who was put in there by the oligarchs.
That's right.
Who control the Ukraine.
Exactly.
People need to realize that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, they have, in that Oval Office shakedown that he was trying to run on the president and JD that he lost, I can't remember if it was the president or JD Vance that said that they've lost 25% of their population. And in this war. And doing the math, if we were in a war today and we lost 25% of our population, it'd be like 85 to 87 million people. So that's I mean, yeah. Okay.
It's nice.
It's crazy.
It's like J.D. Vance is no shrinking violet either. He speaks up when he's got something on his mind, and that's nice to see. And I think Trump appreciates that too. They double-teamed this guy, and I think they showed him for exactly what he is, a tyrant who just wants money.
Mm-hmm. All right. Appreciate the call.
So, you're welcome.
All right. I don't think he's a reliable partner. That's the problem.
No, he seems to be the problem here. I've never heard, a ceasefire is just a ceasefire while there are talks. He was there opposed to it. There was one question at Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, Brian Glenn. He's a reporter, and he asked Zelensky during this heated exchange. They started taking questions. And he says, Mr. President, why don't you wear a suit? And he says, why? You got a problem with how I'm... And he says, a lot of Americans feel it's disrespectful for you to dress like that in this important office. And so Zelensky lost his cool with Brian Glenn, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. He just lost it. And this was after the exchange with the president and the vice president, but they were all sitting there. And he says, well, maybe when this is all over, I'll stop wearing this costume and get a suit as nicer than yours. And then he corrected it, and he's like, oh, they might feel I'm stealing them. Or maybe one not as nice. But he called what he was wearing a costume. So I heard one person say, well, in French, suit is costume. Well, Zelensky's not French, and I don't hear him speaking French. He was speaking English. And he called what he was wearing a costume. And Brian Glenn, if any of you caught that, he's awesome, Brian Glenn. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. He was with Right Side Broadcasting for the longest time. I forget who he's with now. But he couldn't handle a simple question from Brian Glenn. It was beautiful. That was the one question that I was hoping someone would eventually ask him. And Brian Glenn asked it at the right time because it was right. He was still sitting there next to the president, but it was right after the heated exchange. And Zelensky just couldn't handle it. It was just one thing too many, and he just lost it. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Tomorrow night, the president's big address to Congress. So that's tomorrow. I wish it was tonight so we could talk about it tomorrow.
That would be a hard one.
Because the suspense is killing me. The president said that there's going to be something big tomorrow night. Something big. So we'll find out. That's what everyone will be talking about, whatever that is. All right, we're out of time for today. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane, of course, has been here. We've had some great calls on the program today. A great way to start off this glorious week, the first week in March. And 27 days till the cruise, Steve. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Counting the hours.
Oh, man. All right. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve has been here. Take care. All right. And we are out. Okay, guys. I got to run, but thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe. All right. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk.